Greetings, and welcome back to the MCOC Encyclopedia. Today is the sixth and last in the series, covering some of my favourite and some of the best champions of each class, and today we'll be covering the Mystic class. These rankings are primarily focused around story and PvE content to try and get you as far as possible. Thank you to Vega for commissioning and Misty K for making the graphics used in all of these videos. Now, before we start, if you are simply here for rank up advice, my advice will always be rank a champion you need in that moment to solve that problem. If you don't have any problems, push as far as you can until you hit one. Ranking a champion that may simply be described as a great champion may not help you in that moment, whereas a full stock of catalysts always will. As always, these lists are split into two halves, with the ones I recommend you rank, as well as some of my personal favourites. First up, we have a few honourable mentions. White Tiger, Sorcerer Supreme, and Sasquatch are phenomenal champions, and ones I couldn't fit on this list are Dr. Voodoo, Dragon Man, Enchantress, Deathless Guillotine, Mojo, Mordo, Shathra, the Destroyer, Hood, Tigra, Werewolf by Night, and Wong. Do note this list was made at the start of December. This was before the Purgatory buff, which is excellent, and before I really got my hands on Spiral as well, who is also excellent. Both of those champions could well have made it onto this list if I was to make it now, but they're not based on the date. But bear them in mind. At number 10, on both sides, we have Symbiote Supreme, one of the oldest champions on this list that hasn't been buffed or tweaked in some way. If they have lots of buffs and you can bleed them, here's a phenomenal option. Huge amounts of bleeds, massive armor breaks, great damage, power steal. You just go to special 3, which is made a lot easier if you're running Mystic Dispersion. And he does Symbiote Supreme things. He's one of the best counters for the 631 Medusa boss. He just completely deals with her even after she's been buffed. A very, very solid Mystic, an all-round champion. At number 9 on both sides, though if I was to rate him now it would be significantly higher on the personal side, it's Rintrah. I've only played around with the 6-star Rintrah until about last week when I got my hands on the 7-star and the 7-star rank 3, and oh boy did I forget how much I love playing this champion. Rintrah is phenomenal. Not only does he have fantastic damage output with some of the chunkier special 2s in the game, the guy is borderline immortal. Dying with Rintrah is really quite hard, and I will put up a screenshot on screen right now to show you what I mean. This is Realm of Legends Hulk, a 7-star rank 3 Rintrah with no boosts, though a little bit of help from some synergies. I didn't hit him. For the entire fight, I took hits, and we still ended at 60% health. Rintrah is a phenomenal champion. His neutralize basically shuts down the ability for your opponent to gain buffs. Decent-ish damage over time from his ruptures if you can build them up, but big special 2s. Such a tank. Great champion. I love Rintrah. He should probably be higher. At number 8 on my recommended, and number 5 on my personal, we have Diablo. If you can poison the opponent, he will do a very good job in that fight. If they've got buffs, even better. Build your charges, massive poisons, more off the special 3, refresh them with the special 2, keep them ticking. So much utility from his pre-fights as well, and I love the fact that if you don't use his pre-fights, he just starts further ramped. Such a great champion design. Diablo, if you need to poison them, will do a very good job of it. At number 7 on my recommended, and number 6 on my personal, still locked as a 6-star, we have Black Widow Clairvoyant. So much utility, and so flexible in how you use it. If you need utility, you have it. If you don't, you get damage. She's a little bit slower, the damage is a little bit lower, but what you get out of Claire is amazing. She will take you a long way. Great immunities, can shut down opponents' buffs in a unique way, which means if it's unique, it's less likely to be resisted, which it isn't. Amazing champion, will deal with a lot of things that you need for her to do. At number 6 on my recommended, and number 7 on my personal, we have Absorbing Man, also locked as a 6-star. Absorbing Man should be higher on this list, but unfortunately there is some really stiff competition for him. He is such a good champion, and I've used him more recently in the Necropolis where he was doing amazing work there as well. In any situation where you can take advantage of his armor break immunity, he will just absolutely pop off and shred basically anything you need to. Amazing burst damage, a bit of damage over time, great immunities, regeneration. Yep, Absorbing Man has got a lot of what you want him to do, but he doesn't have a lot of what you want a Mystic champion to do. If you took Absorbing Man, and I know it doesn't work canonically, but if you took Absorbing Man and said, right, now he is science, nothing would really change. He doesn't fit into the Mystic category brilliantly, but that doesn't stop him from being a phenomenal champion. Mystics like things like staggers, neutralize, nullifies, that power and buff control, and he just doesn't quite have it, but he is still great. If you want a big damaging Mystic, Absorbing Man could be one of the top ones. At number 5 on my recommended, and number 8 on my personal, we have Kushala. Amazing damage over time, great interaction with the Mystic Dispersion Mastery, getting the power before rather than after with the buffs. Soul Barb, Incinerate, Degen, very flexible, great utility. Does a lot of what you'd like a Mystic to do. A little bit lacking on the power control, but making the opponent more aggressive is a form of power control if they're more likely to throw their specials. You could probably make arguments for any of the 4 remaining champions we have to be in pretty much any order. This is the order I have them in. You're free to make your own. At number 4 on both sides, we have Longshot. Such a great champion. Huge amounts of power gain, damage over time from both Special 1 and Special 2. You can just shut off the opponent's buffs completely and turn them into more damage. A phenomenal champion, really, really great, and I really want him as a 7-star. At number 3 on both sides, we have Juggernaut. Going back to what I was saying about Absorbing Man, if you need to lay down some damage in your opponent's direction and you want to use a Mystic champion, Juggernaut is phenomenal. There's a reason he is one of the top Battlegrounds champions, and whilst this list is not pushed towards Battlegrounds, it explains why. You see him in every roster. He has so much damage, is so safe to use as well, because if you get hit, you're almost certainly unstoppable, so you just go backwards. If you are struggling on the Grandmaster, Juggernaut, I think now, is my top suggestion for him. I have seen so many people struggle with the Grandmaster, they go with Juggernaut and they just start taking so much health off him. Juggernaut, a phenomenal champion. If you get him awakened, he's got some buff control in there as well. Not the most classic of Mystics. He does have Stagger on his heavy, which is nice. Just phenomenal. At number 2, we have America Chavez, one of my most recent rank 3s, and such a good champion. The damage she has is amazing. The power control she has is amazing. She has some weird buff control where she can reduce the potency of opponents' buffs. It's not taking it off them, but, still reduces them, makes them worse. And you can actually invert them if the opponent has enough buffs. It's very strange, but you can make their furies negative so they don't do damage to you. Niche interaction, but really fun. Damage, phenomenal. Power gain, great. Loop of how you play her, amazing. Can take so many fights, but is pipped at the post by our number 1, 6-star locked, Dr. Doom. Could you make an argument for Chavez being number 1? Absolutely. I have put Doom at number 1. Doom does everything you need a Mystic to do. He is extremely tanky outside that, but he has power control. He has buff control in multiple forms. He's got fantastic damage. He can stop opponents knocking him down. The Doom cycle is so powerful for just keeping the opponent shut down. They can't do anything. And Doom is a phenomenal champion. Has carried a lot of people through a lot of story. Phenomenal. If you're unsure what the Doom cycle is, let me know down below. We'll have a video out on that as well. But Dr. Doom, phenomenal champion. One of the best in the entire game, and the top Mystic, in my opinion. I also just like playing him. He's a great champion. So, there you have it. My picks for some of the top and personal favourite Mystics in the game. That's it for this little mini-series, but if you would like to see videos on any of the champions listed here, or any other ones, or if you have any questions about them, do let me know down in the comments below. Do also consider joining the Discord server linked in the description. A great place to get specific advice, make suggestions for future video topics, and while I'm awake, I do my best to be there as much as possible. Thank you, and I will see you next time.